Hello and welcome. This is the market wrap, and where we've seen the Nifty now scale 9,400, also closing at a new lifetime high. We've seen substantial volumes, and along with that, we've seen plenty of longs as far as F&O is concerned. On the whole, it's been a very good day of trade for the bulls, and Shraddha, that's also what we're seeing in the intraday chart as well.
Absolutely, Agam. Yes, it's a record high for the Nifty index. After 2 days of consolidation that we saw, the Nifty index continued to inch up through the session. The Sensex also at a record high with as much as 40% of today's 315-point rally coming just from the HDFC twins, and of course a 2.5% jump in heavyweight Reliance Industries was also contributing. Better monsoon forecasts, corporate earnings, good domestic inflows are maintaining that buoyancy in the market. And to take us on the outlook of the Nifty index, we are also being joined by Sharmila Joshi. Thank you for joining us, Sharmila. Sharmila, clearly it's the domestic liquidity which has been driving this 250-point rally that we've seen since the beginning of April, because after being net buyers in all of January to March, FIs have actually turned sellers since April. So is it just this domestic liquidity which is driving the stocks, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think absolutely, because if you looked at the kind of numbers that we've been getting, it seems to suggest that it is the domestic liquidity that's driving the markets. Because I think even when you do get a buying number from FIs, it's a fairly small number. Number two, I don't think that corporate earnings really, to my mind at least, have been anything to write home about. So I'm not getting the confidence to see Nifty at 9,400 looking at earnings. So it is clearly liquidity, and it is clearly domestic liquidity. And I would think that for the next leg up, if you were to really get that sort of feel good and bull market kind of a feel, then you would really need to see that contribution coming in from FI buying. And I wonder what it will take really for FIs to turn buyers, but we are not really seeing that yet. So I would agree completely. I think that this rally has completely been supported by domestic buying.
So in that case, are you expecting some time-wise correction going forward?
See, honestly, we have been seeing it. We've been in this 93, 9400 range for
right.
almost a month and a half.
Yes.
So if really it had been, that breakout kind of rally, I think it would have been at 9500 already.
Right, right.
So in a sense, we're already seeing that happen.
Yes.
But at the same time, the sheer force of that liquidity is so high that
right.
it's not allowing markets to correct beyond a certain point.
Right.
So if you do get a little bit of spate of bad news, you see markets sluggish for a little while,
Absolutely.
you see them correct for a 0.5% one
yes.
day, 0.5% the next day,
yes.
and then again you see the resumption of rally.
Right.
So in a sense, we are spending time at this level, but as we were discussing, I think the sheer amount of money that's waiting to come into the markets is really just
right.
taking markets higher and higher.
Right, right. So as you can see, we've seen the Nifty move up 90 points. Naturally, a lot of longs in the futures and options space, futures particularly when it comes to the Nifty futures. But let's also take a look at what's happened in the options market. Now, naturally, given the fact that we've seen the Nifty move back above the mark of 9,400, we've seen unwinding and a little bit of profit taking in the 9,400 call. On the other hand, writing in the 9,300 put, considering the fact that we moved further above that level. That brings me to the maximum open interest. As you can imagine, once again, Max OI has shifted from 9,400 to the 9,500 call, which denotes an upper end of a range. Well, roughly, of course, given the fact that we've seen considerable momentum, this could change, and 9,300 on the lower end. So we're looking at a roughly through 200-point range, at least based on maximum open interest, but this is once again likely to change should we see some more volatility. Shraddha, on the whole, with respect to gainers, we're looking at Bharti Airtel doing very well. Of course, HUL was the other gainer today.
Absolutely, Agam. So while cement stocks and IT were seeing some profit booking and weakness, you have your Wipro, Ultratech Cement, HCL Technologies, ACC, all losing anywhere between 0.5% to 1.5%. It was a block deal in Bharti Airtel, which took the stock as much as 8% higher. HUL also sitting on gains of 4.5%. That is again a new high for this stock after the Met Department said the prospects of monsoon had brightened. We'll talk more about that one. Z Entertainment also seeing some positive reaction on the back of earnings. Aurobindo Pharma seeing a strong bounce back after yesterday's fall. US FDA 7 observations on its Unit 4. analysts say were procedural. It could lead to a delay in approval, but they do not see it escalating into a warning letter. That apart, you also had Kotak Mahindra Bank gaining as much as 2.2%. Sources tell BloombergQuint that the bank is likely to launch a QIP issue this week. The private lender is looking to raise about $800 million. That's close to 5,200 crores as the RBI's deadline to bring down the promoter stake to 30% by June end approaches. But more importantly, of course, Agam, we're seeing strong buy in HUL supported by volumes.
Yes, you know what, before I go to HUL, we do have a viewer question, and well, the question is to do with Reliance Industries. It's currently at around 1360 odd levels. What do you do with the stock right now?
Well, you know, I was just, there was some old newspaper article that sort of suggested that the big worry, which is May last year, which suggested that the big worry for company like Reliance is the whole Jio bit, and you know how and when is going to contribute positively, and that can be a drag on earnings, etc. But I think in the last 3 months, what we've actually seen is a complete turnaround of that, because you know, market now suddenly anticipates that that business is going to come into the black far sooner than market had anticipated, and they're a whole lot more positive given the kind of aggressive stance the management has taken, and the fact that they've said that they are going to aggressively roll out and you know, have very sort of tempting plans for customers to enroll into. I think we are seeing the stock at a high that we haven't seen it before, and the contribution from the main business is also fairly strong. So earlier my target would have been 1350, very honestly. It's above that. So I think most broking houses, and the fact that, you know, they are going to commission 2 big projects in their main business. So I think all in all you could, and the rally that we're seeing, I think all in all you could comfortably say that 1700 could be a first target that Reliance could be looking at now. Right,
there you have it. Well, this question was from our viewer Abhi Krishna. So 1700 is possible at a level. But you know, coming back to HUL, you were saying, we had numbers from Godrej Consumer Products yesterday. They have done very well. They've seen considerable expansion in margins. Gross margins specifically stand out. We've seen about a good 280 basis points expansion there. Now, what's working out for HUL today is, firstly, given the fact that they are in soaps and detergents, there is an expectation that there could be an expansion in HUL as well because of Godrej Consumer Products. Secondly, of course, the IMD has come out with the forecast, and they've actually upgraded the forecast from normal monsoons. That was the forecast given back in April, to now they're suggesting that there could be you know, an El Nino effect which could have gotten down, come off, and that's the reason why they are now forecasting above normal monsoons. And that's also the reason why we're looking at a lot of these FMCG stocks gaining considerably in trade today. And that also brings me to my next question. You know, something like an HUL, fine, we've seen it move up. It's nearly 1,000 rupees per share, but valuations and volumes are not supporting it. So what do you do with something like an HUL?
See, very honestly, today's rally I would put it down to 2 things. One is the fact that there was a great concern in the market that how Patanjali is going to affect the fortunes of a lot of the FMCG play. And somewhere I think Godrej Consumer numbers, though I mean, you know, they don't really share the same space as Patanjali, but the strong set of numbers that they gave, and it sort of seemed to suggest that these companies will be able to hold their own. So I think, you know, the first piece of sort of relief news came from there. And I think the second piece of relief news came from the fact that we've heard that monsoons could be normal and could set in at a very normal time in, you know, some of the states. Why that is important is that it would mean that it is the second consecutive year that we'll see a decent monsoon. And honestly, last year the gains that we would have seen from a good monsoon, from a good pickup in the rural economy, was sort of set awry after the November 8th demonetization event, because, you know, then the whole focus just shifted to managing you know, that bit. So I think it's a lot of it is relief, and you know, when a giant like HUL wakes up after 8-9 years, it moves by 6%. So it's not, I don't think it's anything to do with valuation. I don't think it's anything to do with volumes. It's just the relief really that is now showing in a stock, and which has been underperforming a market that's really at a new all-time high.
Sharmila, any thoughts on Eicher Motors, which continues to do well?
So this market has again rewarded the companies that are actually performing well, even better than they've, you know, sort of rewarded companies that I mean, I don't really see any reason for Bharti Airtel to be up 10%, very honestly. Even if you say the margins were better than expected or whatever. But I think in the case of Eicher, you can make a strong case, the fact that they had a good set of numbers. Two-wheelers are expected to, again, be the flavor once you have a good monsoon. And the fact that, their whole buses bit will also sort of, that Volvo piece will also get them some traction going ahead. So I think a lot of pieces falling into place for Eicher, again, which is a stock which has spent enough time now in this 25, 26 kind of 26,000 range. After it saw that sharp up move from 18, 19, and then it's been in this range now for some time. So I think it's about time that market also rewarded companies that were doing well. So I would continue to be positive on Eicher. Maybe it will be slow to move up from here, but I would have a higher target on Eicher from current levels.
All right, I hope that answers your question, Harsh. But moving to mid-caps, Agam, of course, you had the mid-cap indices underperforming the large caps today. But having said that, a lot of pharma and fertilizer names were doing well.
Yes. So, the market breadth remains positive. Naturally, we got two gainers for one loser. Let's take a look at some of these pharma names that Shraddha is talking about. Marxist Pharma topping the list, up as much as 12.5%. We've seen Swan Energy also gain, with Network 18 Media also up 7%. Rashtriya Chemicals and CG Power, along with Chamal Fertilizers and Chennai Petroleum, all these stocks have gained over 6% in today's day of trade. Losses coming for Dena Bank, of course, bearing down. This is on account of its asset quality issues. We have IDBI Bank, where RBI has raised concerns over its financial stress. Shilpi Cable Technologies, well, one of the usuals in this list, at least in recent times. Biocon, once again, FDA worries bearing down on the stock. We have Seat Corporation Bank as well as Dish TV India, all losing out between 3 to 3.5% in trade. And with that, at least my final question would be, in the mid-cap space now, a lot believe that the mid-caps have run up a lot more than the large-cap stocks. But is there any opportunity in mid-caps right now?
I would say plenty, because, I think a lot of this mutual fund money is also chasing mid-caps.
Right.
I don't really see them buying large caps to the extent that they will buy mid-caps. So obviously the new leaders will emerge from the mid-caps over a period of time, whether they are from the NBFC space, whether there are stocks like Mannapuram, which have had a huge run-up, or there are other stocks from the durable space, which again people are expecting to do well, or from the sectors which are leveraged, like if you see something from power or real estate or capital goods, that kind of space doing well. But I think clearly the focus will be on mid-caps.
Right. Well, Sharmila, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for your time. And that is all that we have for today. We are looking at a lifetime high once again. So we will have plenty more coming in tomorrow as well. Stay tuned in the BloombergQuint, and we'll see you tomorrow.